first, second, third year experience driving and texting. So that's my challenge to you, to unplug. Plus, if you have a faith, if you unplug, it's pretty good to have a conversation, to be able to listen to whoever is your higher authority. It's pretty difficult to have that conversation when you're plugged or you're wired. Social media also, though, when I get a chance to talk to these young, beautiful faces, I like to tell a story. I had a chance to go talk to the University of Georgia football team back in September. Coach Mark Rick and I spent an hour before I talked to his team. And he told me a story of one of his freshmen that 2 days before I was on campus, somebody made a terroristic threat against one building on the UGA campus. A terroristic threat on a college building. And one of Mark's freshmen, who must have been 18 or 19 years old, went and took to Twitter to send a selfie out of himself. And he took a picture of himself holding two handguns. And then he said, "Come get us. We're ready." I truly believe that 18 or 19-year-old freshman thought he was doing the right thing. I'm defending myself. I'm defending this campus. I'm defending the brand, the G, and Coach Rick, and everybody that is a fan of Georgia. But what is an 18 or 19-year-old full-ride football player in the SEC doing on campus with a handgun? I just don't think he knew or was mature enough or experienced enough to let his emotional response not happen. He hurt his brand. He hurt Mark Rick's brand, the Georgia brand. And I truly believe he thought he was doing the right thing. So when I talk to kids your age, my message to you is slow down. I'm an old guy. If I wanted somebody to get my viewpoint on something, I had to write it on a note, address an envelope, go to the post office, and one person received my opinion. 5 days later. You've got the world at your fingertips. Be careful of your brand, be respectful of your brand, and slow down from putting your own personal beliefs out there and responding to something. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying slow down. Don't let it be an emotional response. Philip, as I said, had 39,000 plus Twitter followers. He had made a name for himself. As a junior coming out of Auburn, he had a chance to sit down and see if he was eligible for the draft, where he would fit in the draft. So we sat with Gene Chizik, and Phil's perspective came back to be a third-round draft pick that came out after his junior year. He made a decision not to, so he could go back to Auburn. And I'm very proud of the number 3.5. Anybody want to guess what that stands for?
No.
Now, you've heard me talk for 20 minutes, so you know that can't be his GPA, because it's got part of my GPA. How many wins? That's close. 3.5 represents how many years it took him to graduate from Auburn University. As you get ready to go off to college, you seniors, most college kids take 4 years. Because we live in this crazy SEC environment, a lot of kids haven't built that they're going to take 4.5 years. So you get that 5th year of college football. My challenge to you is Philip had a purpose to graduate, and he did it in 3.5 years. You've got to have a purpose to graduate with the best GPA you can and to get good test scores on your SAT or ACT so that you can grab a hold of the many wonderful dollars that are available in academics or grants. So if you're getting a bad grade, go figure out, how do I get a better grade? Who's that classmate that gets algebra or gets physics? How can they help me? Is there another way to prepare or write a paper other than just looking at Wikipedia? You've got to be focused on those grades. Philip graduated in 3.5 years. And it had a significance because after his junior year, he went and played his senior year as a captain and got hurt. And ended up having the shoulder labrum repaired surgically and the hip labrum repaired surgically. He went undrafted, but the St. Louis Rams gave him a shot as a free agent. And he was the last cut. Got cut from the NFL. He came home and said, "Dad, I'm done playing football." The NFL said, "I'm too slow. I'm not big enough. That's okay. So I've got my degree, and I'm going to Montgomery, Alabama, and I'm going to work in wealth management. Here's a kid, 6'4", 250. Had his dream cut short, but he had a reality of what he wanted to do. So he was on the top of the world. June 28th was a Saturday. I talked to Philip on Friday night, the 27th, last conversation I had with my son. He called me to tell me he was thrilled that Auburn had just asked him to come back and be the MC, the Master of Ceremony, for their 50th anniversary Fellowship of Christian Athletes fundraiser. Just thrilled. And my wife Mary said, is he coming home for the weekend? Is he going to go join us at the lake? I said, nope, he's going to Auburn. He's going to hang out in Auburn. He's going to be with friends. But he didn't go to Auburn. Saturday morning, he went to LaGrange, Georgia. LaGrange is similar to just getting outside of rural Dothan. Windy roads, farmland, ranches, farms, no shoulders on the road, trees real close to the side of the road, utility poles real close. Beautiful area. And Philip went with some friends that I've never met. People ask me, am I bothered that Philip went somewhere without you knowing the kids? And I'm not. Because Philip had wonderful character and only hung around with kids with great character. Well, everything Philip had done up to his life at that point, been respected, loved others, gave to others, performed on the football field, represented Auburn in the media for 3 years. That Saturday changed. And there's 4 key points, I think, as drivers and as decision makers that you are at your age that you really need to take into your heart. And the first one is, Philip was 23 years old. They did something you guys do here in the South. Being a guy from Chicago, usually, I've never tried, haven't figured it out. I think the girls are smart because you don't do it. They were muddy. Pushing trucks in the mud. On a hot day. And I wasn't there, but I've been told stories. They started drinking beer that day. He was 23 years old. He was of age. As I look across this group of kids, statistically, 22% of you or your classmates have determined that alcohol is something I'm going to already do. I'm already going to partake and drink alcohol on a regular basis, 22%. So if you think about that, right? If there's 200 kids in here, there's roughly 22 to 30, 40 kids in here already drinking alcohol on a regular basis. 21 has been set for purposeful reasons. Your brain cannot function and handle alcohol consumption until you're about 25. This group may be special because you're in here as members of SAD or supporting SAD. But you've got friends that aren't here, you've got classmates that aren't here that may not be as mature or focused on doing the right thing when it comes to alcohol use. So my challenge is, if you're drinking beer, experimenting, a regular user, thinking maybe I should because it's cool, I'm getting pressure to do it, say no. Get to age 21, the legal drinking age, and determine at that point, is alcohol something I want to have in my life? I'm not saying get to 21 and start partying. I'm just again saying slow down. And look out for your friends that aren't slowing down. Philip and his friends that day abused alcohol. In the state of Georgia, your blood alcohol content level, you're considered legally drunk. It's 0.08. Because Philip had become a celebrity, and what he did on and off the field, the media took advantage of that. 6 weeks after he passed away, Philip's BAC was released publicly. 0.32. 4 times the legal limit. He and his friends didn't look out for one another, didn't look out for themselves. Philip wasn't known to be a drinker like that. I've had people say to me, Mike, he played college football. His experience was different. He didn't have Friday nights in the fall for 4 years. He was just making up. That's wrong. Those kids abused alcohol that day. That's the first point. Then one of Philip's buddies decided, you know what? I got to get a dip. I need a dip so bad, I got to go get a dip. Chewing tobacco at 2 in the morning. So 4 kids jumped into a 2006 Chevy Tahoe. That's one of the most heavy, large vehicles you can drive. For something as silly as going to get a dip at 2 in the morning. In a rural area. No one in this room as a student can look up at me and tell me you've got more than 3 years of driving experience. Some of you have weeks, or a year, or 2 years, but no more than 3, just simply based on your age. Please take to heart when I say nothing good happens to you after midnight, driving around in Dover, or running down to Florida. Just nothing good happens. You don't have the experience to handle rain, barricades, and road construction, a deer that darts out, maybe a drunk driver that's headed your way. Say no. Challenge each other to say, we're not going out, even if it's legitimate. The McDonald's is open 24 hours, we're hungry. You got to say no. Find something to eat at the house you're staying at. When I spoke at Oxford High School, Ryan Herring, football coach, grabbed the mic and said, Mike, I know who's out after midnight. Satan, the devil. He's looking for our kids driving when they're vulnerable, when they don't have experience. You've got to get as teammates and look out for each other and say, I'm not getting in that car, I'm not letting you take those keys. Philip and his friends, 4 of them, did look out for each other. They got in this vehicle. So the combination of too much alcohol and going out at crazy hours was adding up. 1 plus 1 definitely equal 2. As a father, I had to read an 8-page accident report. Page 7 is dedicated to the speed and the path of the vehicle. They were on a rural road, as I mentioned, no lights, dark, shoulders right there, trees and utility poles close to the road. And it winded, and it came to a T intersection with a stop sign. They could either go right or they could go left. Now it's 2:30 in the morning. They had been drinking. The speed limit is 55. The black box in the vehicle, it gives recording and data. When you brake, it does a countdown from 5 to 4 to 0. When that countdown started, they were going 78 miles an hour. The report states that they made impact at the back of the T, off the road, at 78 miles an hour. They never braked. 23 miles over the speed limit. Again, the government doesn't arbitrarily throw a dart at the wall and say, let's make this road 55. Let's make that one 65, and this one 35. They do it based on years of research and safety. You guys especially, and I don't mean to pick on guys, we were born to be macho. Let's push it. How fast can I get Dad's truck going? How fast can I drive Mom's SUV? Or if I'm blessed, the truck they gave me or the car they gave me. We've got to slow down. You've got to have the courage to say to that driver, slow down or let me out. Again, this isn't much about your individual decisions as your ability to be the best friend and help your friend make a better decision. These boys were driving 78 and a 55 at 2:30 in the morning after having drank. So now, the combination of abusing alcohol and going out at crazy hours and speeding, 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. It's all adding up. They went through the T intersection according to the report. Page 8 is a very detailed page of the report. They hit a small ravine. The back end of this SUV went over the front end and flipped up on its top. And then it rolled 150 feet. Let me give you perspective on that. On think everybody's seen a baseball game. 150 feet is like, as a batter, roping a shot into the gap. And you sprint to first, and round first, and sprint to second. And you think, I'm going to make the third. And you round second. And halfway to third base, you're tagged out. That's 150 feet. I want you to remember, number one, 25% and 100%. But before I get to those numbers, I want you to visualize what I had to read. Where the vehicle came to a stop, 15 feet from the vehicle is a stick figure. We've all drawn them as kids. Straight line, 2 stick arms, 2 stick legs, and a round head. On top of the head, written, it said Philip Lutzinger. And below it, it said DOA, for dead on arrival. Philip was ejected from the vehicle. He had gotten in behind the driver in the back seat and chose not to wear a seatbelt. And didn't go out his window. There's always a couple of kids that want to laugh. I'm not sure what's funny. But perhaps if your parents were in my shoes, you might take this a little more seriously, girls. It would break my heart to have your parents have to read this report if it was your name. Philip went out the passenger side rear window. The driver was found partially ejected. So 25% of the kids that decided to do a 2-second habit, which was reach to his right shoulder and click in his left hip, walked away with a concussion. Three-quarters of the kids, 75%, that didn't wear a seatbelt did not walk away with a concussion. Philip lost his life. The driver lost his life. The other backseat passenger, the coroner believes because of Philip's size and strength, she went out after Philip and survived the accident because of Philip's size. But she had life-threatening injuries, internal injuries. God has blessed her. She has survived. But the one of the 4 kids that wore a seatbelt walked away in the same vehicle, in the same path, in the same number of turns, walked away with a concussion. If you don't believe that seatbelts save lives, you need to rethink that. I had a chance to speak up at Fayetteville High School, north of Tuscaloosa, at a baseball banquet. And when I was done talking, an emergency medical technician walked up to me, an EMT, and he said, Mike, I've been doing this 28 years. I'm on a life evacuation group. We take people in accidents in a helicopter to either Birmingham or to Nashville for emergency service. In thousands of accidents over 28 years, he said we've only lost one person who's wore a seatbelt. You're here with friends. You're here on your own choice. You've got to make a decision that seatbelts are worth 2 seconds of my life every time I get in the car. Philip was in the back seat. In the state of Georgia, it's not a law that you have to wear a seatbelt. But again, looking out for yourself and looking out for friends, you've got to challenge one another. Say, I'm not pulling this car out until everybody has a seatbelt, even in the back seat. If there's 4 of you jammed in that back seat, do something an old guy calls double buckle. 2 of you get in the same seatbelt. But you've got to look out for one another. Philip and his friends failed to look out for one another. I started this with, what's your legacy? What legacy are you leaving? What brand are you building? Are you making others feel better? So I'm going to end with this very bold proclamation that if you can match Philip's character and his faith and his willingness to give to others and pay it forward and not take yourself too seriously and be humble, you're going to be a better person. And I make this promise to you. If you do that and you combine it with not making the same choices Philip made on June 28th and rolled into June 29th, you're going to live a long, prosperous life. I would find Emily Clark today, I would find Chris Payne, and I would thank them. I thank you teachers for allowing you to be here today. I appreciate the opportunity to look out and see all these wonderful faces. And if you need to write me, I would love to email correspond with you. God bless you. Have a great day.
That was a powerful story. Yo, give